Doing academic research can be a very painful process if you do it wrong. It can take an immense amount of time. It can be frustrating. It can be unproductive. You can really learn to hate it. In fact, you can hate it so much that you'll get sick of your topic way before you have your paper written. So don't do it the wrong way. Do it the right way. And here are some tips to help you do it the right way to make it faster, easier, more effective, and keep it interesting, more interesting and exciting rather than boring and something to dread. Number one, start with general reference material. This includes encyclopedias and Wikipedia, for example. Maybe you've heard your teacher say, don't use Wikipedia. Well, there are reasons for that. One, it used to be less reliable, because anybody can go in and change, different listings. So you might not always get the most reliable information. They're doing much better at that. In fact, all your teachers, all your professors, they use Wikipedia. But number two, don't quote it as a reference in your paper just because it seems really juvenile. It seems kind of like 7th grade, and that can decrease your credibility. Okay? So in general, don't. Of course, if you actually take a quote directly from Wikipedia, you have to cite it. Okay? You can't plagiarize them. But it's better to find a different source to quote, or just paraphrase it in such a way, if it's general information that it's common knowledge, you don't necessarily need to give a citation for that. But there are a few really, really good things you find when you start with general information, with a general reference material. Number one, you get a really good overview of the general topic, and it may lead you to more precise aspects of it, and that may help you to refine your research question. Your research question may change as you go along through the research process and through the writing process. That's fine, but the sooner you figure it out and get it clear and tight and compact, the better. The less work it'll be for you and the less frustration. It tells you the right terminology to use when you search in other databases for articles. Okay, if you're using the wrong term, they just they don't generally use for what you think you're looking for, you might not get very many results. But if you use the right term, you'll be much more likely to get the results that you're really after. You can also find the names of the experts in the field. Oftentimes they'll be cited. And you can look them up by name. See what articles of theirs you can find. You can actually find their articles. You can find a listing of articles that are some of the best in the business. That these experts who know their stuff, who actually wrote that citation, that they contributed to this general reference. And maybe those are some of the articles that you want to use for your paper. They could be great. Okay. Once you find those articles, you have a whole new source of secondary research material, because within that article it probably cites other articles, and if they're cited in that article that they're very closely related to whatever your topic you're looking up. So that's very useful. Once you're ready with your right keywords and everything to go search in another database, I'll make another video about that as well, then there are a couple things you should do. First, if you want, you can just do a search. If your library, for example, has a search for just all the databases, right? And you can plug in your keywords and you can hit search, come up with a bunch of results. So here's some things you should add to that. First off, you may want to use what are called Boolean operators. These are just simple 2 or 3 letter words generally that can help you refine your search. For example, if you're searching for concussions, information on concussions, and you do a search and it comes up with all this information about football, and you don't want that kind of concussion, you want something else, then if you can sometimes type not space football, and it will screen out things that have football in the title or in the text, however you set up your search. Every database is a little bit different. Okay, so the main Boolean operators are not, or you can do and, where you say I want this word, only give me results that have this word and a second word. Okay, or you can use or, which says give me something that says concussion or traumatic brain injury, or something like that. Okay, and sometimes they use other symbols instead of those Boolean operators. Sometimes, like in Google, for example, you type it, you put a little minus sign and then the word you don't want to include, and we'll screen that out of the results for you. And finally, Other tricks include things like putting quotes around a phrase. Sometimes if you type in a series of words, depending on the database, it will search for that precise phrase just the way you typed it. Sometimes you need to put quotations around it, like with Google, and then it will search for the words in that exact order. Another common set of check marks you can do on your search, especially at university libraries, there may be one where you can check to say, only give me scholarly, peer-reviewed journal articles. And that's very useful because that's going to give you the highest quality results as far as reliability and trustworthy sources. And depending on your professor and your assignment, that can be very useful. But even otherwise, if you start using those things, you'll realize just how valuable it is to get really, truly reliable information rather than just stuff that some reporter happened to write, which may not be that valid. I'll talk more about that on a video about research. Even when you check that, though, it does not guarantee that you'll necessarily get the kind of results, that is specified. They may not come from peer-reviewed journals. They might not, you still need to evaluate when you get that. The other really extremely useful check mark to do is one, if it gives you an option for full text articles only. That means otherwise you can do a search and it might come up with lots of results, but it might just give you a title and a synopsis, an abstract, and not give you the whole article. And if you want to read the whole article, sometimes you have to go somewhere else to another web page and pay them $10 or $30 just to download a single article because your university doesn't happen to subscribe to that one, or because it's too new. They're all different subscription options for your university. So check the ones that'll only give you the full text, and that way you don't have to look through these things that you can't have or that you don't want to pay for. Again, that doesn't always work, but it helps. One more requirement for my classes is I want you to find articles that are a minimum of 5 pages long. And that's because I don't want you to find, even in academic articles, even in peer-reviewed articles, sometimes you'll get something that's 2 columns long. And that can be useful. You can certainly use that, right, if it applies to your topic. But I want you to learn how to read and appreciate, I won't say love, that might be a little too much for most of you, the in-depth articles. Okay, I want you to read some of those harder things and realize that you are capable of reading it. And when we get to the rhetorical analysis assignment, you'll learn that you have a lot more to say about that than you thought you did. Once you find your articles or find some articles and you've narrowed it down and you think you've got something that's pretty good, it's time to learn how to read. Time to learn the reading process, which makes reading through those things so much faster and easier and more effective. And so watch the next video on that.